Which one do you want to talk about first? Starbucks.
Oh, we gotta talk about the Starbucks because that was a highlight. It was
a good time.
Your passion for it.
Of course. So I think I've had experiences from before I can remember. So I really think the paranormal has been with me my whole life. But I actually started investigating at the age of 8.
Went to the drive-through window and he's like, "Okay, what's everybody want?" And everybody started making up the most bizarre Starbucks order.
Ernie ordered like a
Miller Bean Frappuccino with extra.
My parents, they were looking for something to do for their 10-year wedding anniversary, and of course the most conventional thing to do is look for a ghost hunt. So they were looking at things on the Queen Mary, and they saw that Peter was hosting the tours.
We are not alone in this world. We are being watched. Join me on Animal Paranormal Live.
Hey, this is the ghost host Sophia Temprelli, and you are watching the Animal Podcast Show.
And we're live. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on Animal Paranormal Live or Animal Podcast Live. You could join me on YouTube at Animal Paranormal. Please click the subscribe button. Please, please, please. That'd be awesome because then the more people I get to be able to talk to and complain about. But I'm so excited about today's show because it's one of my passions is Bigfooting. And I've been friends with these people for a while, and we go back and forth and talk about some great Bigfoot stories. So I just want to bring them on here really quick and have a really cool conversation and talk about Bigfoot. So let's introduce Mary Dumont, Mike, and Ruby. How's it going, guys?
Hello. How you doing?
Good. It's actually, I'm really excited to have you guys on. It's been I know we've been back and forth trying to get you guys on, and we had conflicting schedules and stuff like that. But how have you guys been doing with the whole Bigfoot thing?
Oh, busy. We're always busy.
Very busy.
That's awesome. So let me know how you guys got. So tell me a little bit about yourselves, all of you. How you guys got into this? How you had that passion inside you just to be able to do this? Because I know with me, like I just love being in the woods, and I know we talked about that earlier. Mm-hmm. And just the feeling out there is nothing like it compared to ghost hunting. It's so different, and it's an awesome feeling. So why don't you guys tell me that and your experiences?
Okay, well, I'll start first. So my name is Marie Dumont. I'm the founder of the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group, and these are my research team members, Mike Aguilar and Ruby Jo Brew. And so I've always, for over 30 years, I've been a paranormal investigator. Start out with ghost hunting, and then aliens and UFOs, and then it just evolved into Bigfoot because I had some friends who were really into it.
Yeah.
And so it was about 5 years ago. I was camping out with some friends and in the Ocala National Forest on the coldest night of the year in January, and heard a huge vocalization. Huge, loud, lengthy. It took incredible lung capacity to do something like that. And we all just looked at each other and we were like, oh my God. So it was that point I was like, oh my God. They do exist. I want to do this. I want to see it. I want to find it. I want to be the one that proves it. They're here in our state. Florida's number 3 for the most reported Bigfoot sightings in the United States. So there is something going on in Florida.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right. And so it's all been good. So, Mike?
I actually got started when I first started about 7, 8 years ago. Actually, now I didn't believe a whole lot. I had seen documentaries and I had seen shows, and I wasn't a huge believer. But when something up and walks in front of you, in front of your vehicle, 75 yards or less away from you, it kind of changes your whole vision on things. And that's what happened to me. I was in Homosassa going fishing 6:30 in the morning and watched this thing go from a dark shadow, walk onto the road where it ran into where the light was hitting the road. And it went from
Wow.
a dark shadow into a reddish brown, 7.5 foot tall, walked by, looked over at us and kept going. And as I came around the curve, it was gone. And it struck my interest, and I couldn't stop paying attention after that, you know?
Yeah.
Ruby? Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, like you, I love the woods, and I've always been. Well, that's my playground.
Yeah.
We've always lived by woods, so I was always in the woods. And it wasn't until I was listening to YouTube podcasts and started hearing other people's experiences and realized that I've been having experiences my whole life.
Yeah.
But my only, I think, perceived visual was camping in the green swamp where the horse club. I'm hearing myself, so that's why I'm not talking. I'm delayed. Okay, so I went on a late ride right at sunset with somebody that had just got there and wanted to go for a ride. And I didn't want to go the same place where we had ridden earlier, so went the opposite direction, thinking we were going to go around behind our campsite and just cut in across the field back to our campsite.
Yeah.
So we went probably a half hour out, figured where it would be, and went that way. So as we were starting to head towards the campground area, now I'd never been back there, so I just guessed this might where it would be. We were walking, and the road kind of goes up. I don't know if I said this was the green swamp.
Yep.
And it went up. There was a big canopy, and it was real dark. And so I thought maybe this wasn't a good idea to go in a strange place. We didn't have flashlights or anything with us, that it was getting dark real quick. So I turned around to ask the guy if he wanted to continue on. And this owl comes swooping right between the two horses and landed on a tree right next to us. And I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Huh.
And I was looking at the owl and then stopped. Just boom. And so when I spun around, that dark canopy was only half dark now. And what I could see was something dark with long hair. I couldn't see a face, but it was down low now. And it spider walked to the side and disappeared into the brush.
Yeah.
So the horse wouldn't go forward anyway. We didn't really want to go there either way too. So we turned around and went back. I never knew what it was.
Yeah.
I kind of figured maybe it was a bear.
Yeah.
But a bear got spider walk sideways.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I know. It's pretty interesting to be able to experience something like that, because I remember my first encounter when I think it was up in Indiana, with Squatch Man. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really awesome guy, and he took us, me and Pac-Man, out there Bigfooting, and just the experience of rocks being thrown and trees being knocked on, and we saw lighted up eyes, red and yellow eyes, and be able to experience that was pretty cool, and is very wild. But like, if anybody has ever had an experience out there, please put it in the comments out there. We'd love to hear your story. But next, I'd like to know about like the greatest experiences that you have had like recently, like because I know you sent me some videos of some footprints that you guys caught recently. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So we had the privilege of going to the Pacific Northwest to Medellin Falls in Washington State because we were asked to do a Florida Skunk Ape presentation during the Medellin Falls Bigfoot Festival, which was a huge honor for us. Wow. And we stayed like an extra week just so we could go out and explore and stuff like that. And on our last day, Mike Ruby and I, we just went out into Colville National Forest, and we were told to go check out this area called Gypsy Meadow.
Yeah,
people told us about it, and we were able to find it. It's so gorgeous out there. I mean, my God, talking about being out in the woods, that's a whole nother level of gorgeousness.
Yeah,
such a word.
A lot different than Florida, that's for sure.
So different, amazing,
and a lot more intimidating.
Oh yeah, extremely intimidating. It's like, oh my God. I mean, everything is squatchy out there.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're going, you know.
No.
And we didn't know where we were going, but we ended up, we did find Gypsy Meadow.
Yeah.
And I kept telling them that I wanted to go walk along a stream. So we just kind of like parked along the side of the road and we just went in the woods.
Wow.
And we found the stream and then we started finding these prints.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my God. I mean, how lucky.
those were just the impression on them was really like, holy crap, those were really good prints, because sometimes being out in the mud there and like it's hard to get some really good prints like that, but you could see the definition of a huge foot.
Yeah,
I would love to have seen them like when they're like before or like right as the water had dissipated out of there, Because it looked like they were like they would look like they were underwater when they walked through it, and so the print just sat there and kind of ate away at the toes and all the perfect definition. So of course we find all these prints, and there's different sizes. There was a bunch of different sizes.
Wow!
It was like a whole family walk through.
Yeah,
all around.
Wow!
All
around that puddle.
And this area was drying out. It was part of the stream. Starting to dry out, so there was all kinds of mud. So that's why Mike thinks, and I do too, because we couldn't see any toes, but the size was tremendous, and we think something walked through there when there was water, and then now it's drying out. There's still water in those prints. They don't look like them, but there is water sitting in those prints still. And
I actually found. I found, what was it, like 3 or 4 more that I found going up the hill on the backside of that too, behind where we saw those. I found more prints going in the moss, going up the hill through the moss.
Right.
Now, did you guys experience any noises or wood knocking or anything like that sort?
The only thing I experienced was at this place where we found the prints. After we were in the mud area in the water, like Mike said, we started going up into the moss. And Mike and Ruby were looking at the moss and stuff like that. And we're just looking around. They went off to the right. I went off to the left by myself. So I'm looking for prints. I'm just looking for stuff. And I hear 3 growls.
Wow.
Like growl grunts. And I was like, this was daytime. I'm looking around. I don't see a bear or anything, but I was like, I better try.
Guys.
Back. Yeah, guys. Mike, Ruby.
I would be like, what is that?
We're not in Florida. We're not in Florida, Marie. Stay close.
There's no gators.
Stay close. I'm like, crawling around.
Visuals. We need visuals.
Yeah. And I was like, oh God, it only made 3. It made 3 growls, grunting sounds.
Wow.
And I turned around and joined Mike and Ruby, and that was it. And we
Wow.
didn't hear any wood knocks. We didn't hear any whistling.
It was actually really quiet. I was really hoping some of our like sounds and things would get the attention and get some responses. It really didn't. It was really
Yeah.
quiet. I felt like we were just being kind of quietly checked out in areas, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it kind of reminds me of Ocala. I don't know if you guys been through the Ocala woods, but there's an area, I can't remember, there's a sinkhole,
Yeah.
a big sinkhole that's supposed to be very, they say it's very religious area, like spiritual. We've actually camped near that sinkhole area where it's very squatchy and like very haunted supposedly, and there's a cemetery out there. And me and my friend, we went camping there to see what's going on because we mostly went there for the ball of lights that people have been experiencing there, and we didn't really think about Bigfoot at the time because we were just so like, oh, look at these ball of lights we're seeing in the woods because we were like all over the place. And
You were seeing them?
yeah, we were seeing them. They were like all over the place. They were like hopping through trees and all that stuff, and we were hearing like weird noises. And then we started hearing tree knocks. And in the middle of the night, we heard growls like somebody was fighting each other. It was weird, like they were fighting, and our window was open, and my friend's like, "Let's shut the window," because it was near our tent. I'm like, hey, no matter what, it's coming through this tent. If it wanted to, it can.
Did they sound like they were arguing? Or
It sounded like they were fighting. It was weird. It was something I haven't heard before, being in the woods all the time, and it was pretty intriguing, but kind of like, oh shoot, I don't have like anything to protect me at the time, and I was like,
You've heard barred owls. I mean, you know what a barred owl sounds like.
yeah.
There.
No,
They
this
can
was like
sound
growling.
monkeys and stuff.
Yeah, this was growling. It's pretty interesting, but that's one place I definitely want to go back.
Oh yeah, I have one favorite trail that I go on, and I have found structures and weird stuff, and actually had during the daytime. I was there with a couple of friends, and we were walking down the trail, and we heard something walking alongside of us in the trees. But it was daytime, and the trees weren't that thick. We could easily see through the trees.
Yeah.
And I kept looking over. And I just stopped. I said, okay, I don't know about you guys, but I hear something walking next to us. They said to the left, and I'm like, yes, you heard it. So we all 3 heard something walking like with us, paralleling us, and it would stop when we stop, and it would start up again when we start up again. It was intriguing. I love Ocala though.
Ocala is a very special place, especially the Everglades. Like, there's so much going on there. A lot of people have experienced. I don't know if you ever heard. People have said they've seen like a pterodactyl flying dinosaur over the Everglades.
What?
I don't know if you ever heard that.
Oh, I have not.
At this point, nothing would surprise me, though. There's everything.
Especially in Florida. You never know what's like flying or swimming.
Yes.
Florida man. I mean, there's all kinds of.
Florida man. That's a whole different story.
We have pterodactyls in the Everglades. Okay.
Yeah, that Wolfman. Forget what else we have. Slender Man. He's a big tall. Actually, we're in the woods here in the Cape. You actually see him at nighttime. Slender Man.
Wow.
Big, tall, skinny creature that
Really?
just like, walks across the trees. Yeah.
Across the trees?
Like you can see his shadow. It's tall, slender. We call him Slender Man.
Ooh,
Wow.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, when you guys come this way, I'll have to show you because this forest. We've actually had a ball of light chase us out of the woods because we didn't know what it was.
Uh-huh.
And the funny part is we were in boots because the water was up to like past our ankles. So snakes. If anybody that lives in Florida, we got snakes and gators. So you got to be careful where you walk. And the weird part is like it was like someone's holding a lantern. And we're like, listen, there's like nobody here because you would hear water and it was quiet as hell and you couldn't hear nothing. And this ball of light was just like going around everywhere. And then it was coming towards us. So we're like, well, let's back up a little bit. So we backed up and this thing kept coming towards us. I'm like, well, I don't feel like being in a UFO ship or being in another parallel. So I was like, let's get out of here just to make sure. And the funny thing is, after that happened, we went back, I think it was a week ago. We had a person that says he got chased out by the same thing with his dog because he goes and walks in and out with his dog. So there's a lot of cool stuff in that place that definitely I would recommend for anybody to go to here in Cape Coral, Florida.
That's interesting. Where was the orbs at?
I'm trying to think. It's off Burnt Store. I don't know if you ever heard of Burnt Store Road.
No.
But it's like way back in the woods. But it's a trail. Anybody could go there. But it's a pretty cool. It's creepy. Once it gets dark, it gets quiet. Like all the crickets stop, and then you have that eeriness, and then you'll start seeing shadows, hearing noises, hearing animals, all kind of different stuff, and paranormal stuff too. That's for sure.
And Dupuy. Have you ever been to Dupuy?
I've heard of it.
That's on the east side of Lake Okeechobee, northeast corner of Lake Okeechobee.
All right. Yeah, I've heard of it. I'll have to check it out. I know there's
been orbs there. We've seen orbs there. I've seen
Yeah.
two. Mike has seen one. Remember, Mike?
Yeah, that's the one and only time I didn't believe any of that either. And then I saw that and I was like, what is that, Marie? I was like, that's somebody with a cell phone waving it around in the air. She's like, I've got my thermal on. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just like that ball of light. We're like hoping we would hear splashes from something like a homeless person walking through the water, but it was quiet. And that ball was like maybe like 5 feet away from us, and there was nobody there. And we're like, well, should we stay or should we go?
Stay, but you can't. So I would
We
say.
stay. We're like, yeah, we just got. We were in a UFO ship. Everybody.
A little abduction won't hurt you.
Yeah, no, it might have been. It would have probably been a good vacation. Probably.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Being abducted, it'd probably be a good time, a party, you know, and tell people, and they'd be like, well, "You got abducted? Well, good for you."
Something else to put on your resume.
Yeah, people are like, oh, I think he's a little crazy. I think he needs a doctor or something. But anyways, have you guys ever experienced like actually Bigfoot come up to you, like have that old shite factor that scared the crap out of you and you didn't know what to do? Have you guys ever had that experience like that?
Mike has had some.
I've had 3 fairly close encounters, and 2 of them I actually saw something. And one of the creepiest was where I was the closest. Where we talk about the ish factor. Yeah. We were doing it overnight in the Green Swamp, and we were kind of out in an open field doing some sounds and different things to see what responses we get. And the main group kind of had walked off, and I went to the right and followed down this tree line. And I'm like walking down the tree line, and I told another group member, I said, "Hey, can you please keep your thermal aiming this way?" And I think whatever's back here could be down that tree line. So I walked down that line by myself, and as I'm walking down it, there's like a fire berm. Have you ever seen a fire break? They dig them out and they'll make like a berm on the side.
Yep.
And well, this was kind of about 6-7 foot high, and I walked into the brush, and I had to climb up it. And as I walked up it, I heard something walking off to my left, and I had my headlamp on, and I don't have it on. I had it on, and I turned it off, and I could hear this thing walking. And I'm like, man, it's almost like it's wanting me to hear it walking, you know? I mean, it's not a person, but a big person walking off. And then you get that feeling, you know, when that true feeling. And that's what I got. And I realized that what that one was doing was distracting me from the one that was to my right.
Yeah.
So there was one right to my right about 15 feet away. His shoulders were every bit of 4 foot wide. When I turned my headlamp, I turned my headlamp on as I turned. And as I turned it on, and I saw shoulders, a tree branch, and hair, and dark skin. And I clicked my off button at the same time because it scared me so bad. I went, "Whoa!"
Oh, shoot.
And I turned off it, and I turned, and I came out of the hole, and I walked off. And on the thermal, you can see me, like, my butt's puckered coming walking out, and there was a.
He just walked
thermal
right
image of
past
something.
me.
Everybody's they're laughing at my butt pucker as I come walking out because I was like, "Oh my god, that just happened."
Oh man, you're like, I don't have any toilet paper for you.
No, I was so on, and then I'm like, "What am I doing?" I could have reached out and touched it. It's like
I would
you
have
don't
jumped
know-
on top of it. I would have been like, let's go, man.
Sure.
Let's go. Just take me away. Take me away. I found you. I'm done. I'm done. Just
That
take
was
me
the
with you.
largest thing. That's the largest thing I've ever been next to. It was absolutely massive.
Wow.
And it had his back to me, and his shoulders and his back were so freaking big. That was the closest I've been by far.
Yeah. And it's funny, like, talking about how big these creatures are, and people, and I know we get a lot of fakes and stuff like that on videos, they're out there and stuff like that, but having something videoed that's something that's huge and broad and tall, I know there's big people out there, but like something you see 9-10 foot tall, it's like, it's kind of hard to fake something like that, it's
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. I don't know if you guys ever get videos of people talking, oh, this is a Bigfoot. Do you guys ever get videos like that or
Oh, yeah.
stuff? People try to show you?
Yeah.
The biggest I found footprints out in some of our areas. The biggest was 19. So
Wow.
that's a big critter.
Yeah.
The big guy.
But the majority of the ones we do find, like the ones at Jennings and even the one in Washington, they're usually 16 inches.
16.
Wow.
16
I gotta
is
measure
definitely
the
the
one.
average.
Yeah, I gotta measure that one I showed you, Mary, the one that was in the back of my. It was weird how I found it. My parents just moved in the middle of nowhere up in what's it called? Fort White, Florida. Up there, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's definitely a squatchy area. My parents live way back in the forest, and that's all there is forest. And I was walking in the back of their house, and I saw these two huge footprints side by side, and they were like, you could see the toes and everything. And it just pushed the impression. So I was like, oh man, I need to cast this. So I used some what did I use? I made something up I had in my work truck. It was hydraulic cement. I was like, which was a bad idea because that stuff doesn't stick. So it broke in half. So I had to glue the cast together.
Oh no.
A for effort.
Yeah, right.
It's cool though. It was like my first Bigfoot print. I was like so proud of that. I sent pictures to everybody like, oh my gosh, look at that. So cool. But like, it's crazy that we could find the evidence out there and like still people dismiss it. It makes me so mad because it's out there. Truth is out there, and they're like, well, why can't you find it? I'm like, it's because they're the best hiding seekers in the world. Like you can't. That's why they're forest creatures. They don't want to be seen unless if they want you to see them, they'll pop up and say hello, boo. But like.
I always say, think about the most, an animal that everybody knows about and everybody sees. But if they don't want you to see them, you don't see them. Even a raccoon. Raccoon, very common, but you're not going to see them if you don't want to see them. If you don't want you to see them, you're not going to. No, it's pretty interesting, and that's why I love to be able to explore these creatures. Not just that, but like they got Dogman, you got the Chupacabra. You have skinwalkers. You have the boogeyman. I don't know. I'm just thinking of
Wendigo.
The Wendigo, Mothman. The Mothman's a pretty big one that a lot of people have been experiencing lately. He's been popping out. Dogman, like I said, he's been out a lot. There's so many dinosaur-like creatures. There's a creature in Georgia because I'm a diver too, and there's a creature in Georgia that's kind of, they say it's like Nessie kind of, and there's a whole exhibit about it, a museum, and we're actually going to dive it pretty soon, hopefully pretty soon, travel up there and do a little documentary about it, about this little Nessie creature that they've seen there in the waters, which is pretty cool. But there's so much stuff out there, and it's like, it's just amazing how people are like, but it's cool though. It's fun, and you get to meet a whole bunch of different people.
Yes.
And go to all these cool places.
Right.
Hey Beth, how's it going? Tell me about the equipment you guys use when you guys go out and hunt. What kind of equipment do you use? Do you have protection with you? Tell me what you guys tell our audience what you guys use and have fun with out there.
So we all have different pieces of equipment. So, I usually use my phone, but I have thermal camera.
Yep.
So my thing at night is to use a thermal camera. And Mike, you want to talk about what you use?
I pretty much just use. I have one of the newer iPhones, and the newer iPhones have a LiDAR scan that you can use, the Scaniverse, and I use Scaniverse a lot now. That's one of my biggest tools. Like, I don't have to carry everything around with me like I used to.
Yeah.
My phone has become one of my biggest tools, to be honest.
It's gonna become everybody's biggest tool right now. It's like you don't even need a freaking big, huge flare gun anymore because you could just connect it to your phone now.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we were up in the middle of the mountains, and I lost all my service, and my phone goes into satellite phone mode, and I'm like, whoa! I didn't even know it did that.
Yeah, the new phones do that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat when you're up in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
That 3D scan app that
Is a
Mike
game
has
changer.
on his phone is a game changer. It's amazing because it gives it can give you all the measurements. It can you can do like a 3D model. It's very interactive. You can turn it around. You can view prints from different angles. You can see the depth, just like Jennings. The Jennings original print I found, you can kind of see it. It wasn't the greatest, but when Mike scanned it, that's where you see detail. And
you can see all the movement in the feet, and it was really, really cool. And we've actually, Meldrum's actually shared a couple of my scans on his page, and I'll send him a video. I'll send him one of the scans, like if we're out doing something, and he'll let me know what he thinks about it. So that's pretty cool to have to kind of justify what you're finding,
Yeah.
Great. It's great. And so you have the Scaniverse, and Ruby, you have night vision?
Yes.
Oh, that's a
It
good
makes
one.
me
I love
seasick.
night vision.
We do a lot
So
of.
I bring it, but I let other people use it.
Yeah. But we probably have some other stuff, I think.
Yeah. The meter, the RF meter.
Yeah.
Mostly my camera. Well, which is on my phone.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of RF, the meters, have you guys ever had any paranormal activity out there when you're doing Sasquatching?
Yes, definitely. The funniest thing is a few years ago out in the Green Swamp with my team at the time. And it was the wintertime, and I see an X structure, and I walk up to the X structure. My locked and protected phone starts ringing, and I look at it. It's a ex-boyfriend calling me as I'm walking up to a X structure.
Wow.
That happened twice, 2 different times, 2 different ex-boyfriends.
Oh, shoot.
When I walked up the 2 different X structures, it's the craziest thing. I mean, coincidence?
Wow.
It's just retarded. And we have it on film, too.
I'd love to see that.
I didn't call you. Yeah, you did. No, I didn't. No, you did.
Like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah. And, of course, the orbs. And I've heard gibberish out in the Everglades. So we've had captured EVPs before in the past.
Yeah.
Places like the Everglades and Green Swamp, and one actually sounded like it said my name. And but we haven't had any of that lately. But we have had that before.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the RF meters have gone off out in the Green Swamp, and they've gone off many times out there.
Yeah.
And but you bring them into the area that we're in all the time, and they don't go off.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it doesn't get any readings in this area, like in an active area. I think it's kind of like a defense deal, It's like they're picking up that radio wave or whatever it is,
Wow.
What about you, Ruby? Ruby, what else?
My favorite one is the little visitor that we had in the green swamp.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
visitor.
Somebody set off her little cat balls. Now we were thinking maybe a Sasquatch. So she invited it, if it was good, to hang out with us. This was my first night with the night vision. I was sick as a dog.
Oh wow.
So I sat down. I was sick from the night vision, motion sickness.
Yeah.
So I sat down in our chairs and I felt something pick up my hair and drop it.
Yeah.
And then a cold blast of wind hit the top of my lip. It just like, and it wasn't until 2 weeks later, somebody had been watching the video that was, what do you call him? The night. He had it on White Hot or something.
Yeah. It was
a video. We never caught it, but somebody else was watching it and slowed it down.
Yeah.
And there was a little person that looked kind of like a soldier, dressed like a very distinct hat, kerchief, and they were behind Marie because she was real cold and just standing up and pacing around.
Yeah.
And when she moved, it was standing there and like saw the camera, darted behind her, and then two rocks come flying in.
Yeah.
We never saw any of that at all.
Wow.
Somebody else had to point it out.
He was behind my shoulder. You could see him plain as day.
Yeah.
With
So
the
that's
hair,
who was
like,
probably
blue
playing
Lord.
with my hair and blew cold air on my lip.
Mhm.
That was back there in the Green Swamp, right by that intersection. Where
Yeah,
that big tree,
McNeil.
Yeah.
that big
McNeil.
tree back there. I remember. That's a creepy area.
Yeah. Yeah. And something threw something at us that we didn't see. Something it was captured on film.
Oh
But we
man.
didn't see it at the time. We didn't know what even happened at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta go out there with you guys.
Yeah, you need to.
Yeah, it's due. I'll have to come on one of your investigations. And
Yes.
since we're like
Please
not
go.
that far, so
Right.
well, tell us what kind of events that you guys are coming up with next. I know you guys have been busy. I saw you guys were just at a con. I think you guys were at.
No, well, we were at the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. How'd that go?
Oh, it was wonderful. It's always a great time. This is the 4th year, I think they've
Wow.
had it. And the second year, I was a speaker at
Yeah.
the conference. And then Mike was on the Skunk Ape Roundtable this year. So he got up there and, they discussed ideas and, discussed
Yeah.
things about skunk apes. And so we have a table set up on Researchers Row, and we bring out, we bring all our casts and
That's
publications and all kinds of cool stuff, and we have a nice
Wow.
display there. So it's a great time. Oh my God.
This was the best year yet.
Yeah, this was the biggest year yet for sure.
Yeah.
We were
There was a lot of good people there too. A lot of other people.
yeah.
It was really cool. My son is another little part of our team. He comes out
Wow.
with us and he loves it. He's 9 years old, and I'm sorry, just turned 10, and he loves it. He loves getting out there. But so he got to go on stage with me in front of all these people on the round table and sit with me on stage, and it was really, really cool to experience that with him.
Wow.
Yeah, he has a form of autism, right, Mike?
Yeah, it's selective mutism, and he's, for the most part, he's outgrown it. He didn't talk
Yeah.
until he was almost 4. He was like 3.5 before he started talking. He would hum everything, and
Yeah.
his little brain, like, you'd go talk to somebody and he would turn away, like he was almost like he was shy. But he didn't talk to his teachers until he was, in 4th grade. He
Yeah.
wouldn't talk to kids. He didn't talk to people, and then just one day he's been the group has actually helped a lot. He loves going out in the woods.
Wow.
He would talk to me and talk to us, but he wouldn't talk to nobody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so he's a good little researcher. He's the future of skunk ape Bigfoot research in Florida. You know, he loves it.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He finds things.
Yep, he does.
Wow.
Mhm.
And they love him. He'll go out there when it's just me and him. We've had a lot of things happen together where we vocalized back and forth in one area that we go to. I've been going in there for about 3 years. I've been going in this area, me and him together, along with our group. But me and him used to have been in there and had a lot of things happen when it's just me and him. I mean, active vocalizations, talking back and forth to us. It's really, really neat.
Wow. That's awesome. Is there anything else you guys any events coming up before we go here in a bit? But we have a few minutes left. But before we go, any other events that you guys got coming up here in Florida or out of Florida?
Well, right now we're looking at we're going to be probably working with David Shealy to put on a conference or a meeting or something down in the Everglades about skunk apes and alligator. It's going to involve skunk apes and alligator wrestling.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
That's a good time. That's fun to watch. And so we're going to be helping him with that. So that's probably going to be in November.
Okay.
But as far as other events, I mean, we finished the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference and we went to the Medellin Falls Bigfoot Festival in Washington. So that's it for right now. As far as big events.
And we got to sign the famous foot. That was cool.
The Foot of Fame.
The Foot of Fame.
There you go.
Foot of Fame, yeah. So Thomas Seward, he's with Sasquatch Island in Vancouver. And
wow.
he was at the festival, and he had this big wooden cutout of a foot. And so he has had all these, who he thinks are really good researchers. Yeah. He's had everybody sign it. He's got Meldrum on there. He's got Bob Gimlin on there. He's got Peter Burns. He's got, Cliff Brackman. He's got all these people on it. And he asked us to sign it. So what a huge honor.
Wow.
To sign this. And he's going to be opening up a Sasquatch museum. And he's going to put that on display, like on a rotating pedestal. It's going to be
that would be cool.
So, oh my God, what a huge honor for us to be on this Foot of Fame out in the Pacific Northwest with names like Bob Gimlin and Meldrum and, all those great researchers. So it's a huge honor. So
yeah, there's something like that that's huge. It's so big. I'm excited for what you guys are doing, and I've been watching you guys for a bit, and I definitely want to join you guys out there because I love being out in the woods. And I think I met you in Arcadia. I don't know if you remember, but I met you out in Arcadia.
Did you? I didn't know that.
It's the
the Opera House.
Yeah, at the Opera House. I don't know. I think it was last year. Yeah. Yep. That's where I met you, and I got your name and stuff, and that's where we got connected.
It's air conditioned now.
Oh yeah, thank God. That place was miserable.
Oh man, yeah. It's definitely hot in that place.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely.
But yeah, I definitely visit that place a lot. That place is cool. The owners are cool. They're doing great things there. But hopefully we could do something big again there. Another paranormal. We'll have you guys back there again.
Oh yeah, we need to do something. We need to go on an outing when it gets cooler.
Yeah, it's so hot right now. Oh my gosh,
the camp out would be awesome.
Miserable.
Oh, I love the camp. I'm all about the camping.
Yeah. Yes.
But but definitely before we go, why don't you tell everybody how they can find you, your Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I don't know if you guys have TikTok, Instagram.
Backwards.
So see a shirt, nice shirt.
I got pick up those cool shirts. I want a shirt.
I got my shirt on too.
I need to get a shirt. That's awesome.
Yes, and so we are on obviously Facebook, the Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube. Also, we have a channel there, and it's also called Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. And I have a website, You can find it at midfloridabigfoot.com, and there it has information about the team, the bios, our photo research gallery, all the press and media and publications we've been in. There's a section about Florida facts. Everything that anybody wants to know about Florida is there. And we also did a David Shealy study, a skunk ape video that actually was today, July 8th.
Oh, wow.
2000, so it's exactly 24 years.
Wow.
He filmed that skunk ape.
And that study is really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's a really, really neat look into that video and to the Everglades and to David's area down there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
really
we tried to debunk it. We spent 3 months doing
Oh,
research.
you guys even tried to do that?
Oh, yeah, we did 2 reenactments of it.
Oh,
I-
wow.
I physically was out there, and I can tell you what that
Right.
place is like.
Is it swampy? It's probably very swampy and hard to run.
Everything out there, you think you're looking at a field of grass when you're watching that video, and it's 4 to 5 foot tall grass on average with about a foot of water underneath it.
Yeah.
It is extremely hard to walk out there.
You have to be very strong-legged to be able to run through that, because I saw
Yeah.
the video, remember, and that thing was running and
Oh, yeah.
tall.
Well,
I could barely walk.
Mike, Chris, and Thomas, when they tried to do it, it was the dry season, and they
Yeah.
couldn't get through it.
It was probably still muddy, too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's what you don't. There's a lot of deadfall out there of grass. It's bundled
Mhm.
up, like piled up, and there's water under that. So you're stepping into a pile of deadfall grass, sawgrass, and water. You can't. It attaches to your feet. You can't
Yeah.
run. You can't do it. And there was game trails out there. I found multiple impressions out there, all over the place out there.
Bigfoot
But-
impressions.
Yeah, all over
Well,
out there.
Wow.
Yeah, like footprints, in the middle of the sawgrass marsh.
Wow.
You
Are you
know?
guys going back out there?
You couldn't cast them or nothing. I've got actually there's pictures of them on our website, I believe.
Yeah, we have a picture of it, but we lost it because we were doing the reenactment and we couldn't find it again. But
Oh, man.
yeah, so it's funny. July 8th today, 24 years.
Wow. That's cool that you guys are on a podcast and we're talking about it. It's really
Yeah, I
cool.
know, right? I just looked at the date. I'm like, oh yeah, today's the day.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. And I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. And thank you for coming on the show and being my guest. I definitely would love to have you guys on and talk more about you guys' experience about Bigfooting, and hopefully the future endeavors holds up. Who knows what will happen? Maybe tomorrow you might have a Bigfoot encounter. You never know.
Exactly.
But everybody, please, if you haven't watched this show, please check me out at Animal Paranormal on my YouTube. Please subscribe and check out my Facebook page at Animal Paranormal, Animal Podcast Live. And thank you, everybody, for watching us. And we are about to head out. So, peace.
Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you.